Now, tonight, Kenyans must gear up for higher interest rates. That is because, if you haven't heard it already, the president just signed today. He signed that finance bill, which, among other things, repeals caps on interest rates charged by banks. To put it simply, from now on, banks will be well within the law to charge you whatever interest rates they please when you take a loan. Now, many people believe that this will make loans even more inaccessible. But that's not my point tonight. Instead, I'm zeroing in on members of parliament who failed to show up for such crucial votes only to turn around and blame the president for allegedly usurping the powers of parliament. On this score, ladies and gentlemen, I refuse to blame the president. You see, on August 27, 2010, we passed a constitution whose drafters were accused of many things. But the one thing they seem to have got right was the simple principle known as separation of powers. Both the president and parliament have their powers and responsibilities clearly set out in that constitution. For instance, parliament passes bills, then sends them to the president, and if for whatever reason it disagrees with any bill, he is allowed by the very constitution to return it to parliament with a memorandum stating what he wants changed. Parliament is allowed by the very constitution to either adopt the president's memo as is or reject it, but on one condition, that they are able to raise 2/3 of members present and voting to overturn the president's wishes. It surely cannot get any clearer. Let me illustrate. Last month, members of parliament amended the finance bill to retain the interest rate caps against the wishes of Treasury. But when the bill was sent to the president, he rejected it and asked parliament to reinstate the interest rate caps before he could sign it. And that was perfectly within the law, his reasoning notwithstanding. But when the hour of reckoning came, only 161 out of the minimum 233 members required were present in the House. Oh, actually, there were 270 initially, but by the time the vote was called, some 40 or so MPs had somehow vanished. But what did the leaders say? Well, Minority Leader John Mbadi was livid when interviewed by the Standard newspaper. He said, and I quote, "The president's veto should not be the order of the day. If this continues, it has the potential of progressively usurping the powers of parliament. Because, get this, getting 2/3 majority is not an easy thing," he said. What? The president is usurping the powers of parliament by doing what the supreme law allows him to do? And the minority leader wants to say that getting 233 MPs to simply do their job is asking too much? In fact, the Deputy Majority Whip, Chris Wamalwa, was a little bit more ridiculous, I would say. He said the president's veto was interference. Ladies and gentlemen, this would be hilarious if it weren't so ridiculous. You see, as far as I'm concerned, the president can send as many bills back to parliament as he pleases. But it is the MPs, the people's representatives, who must stand up to him and raise not just 2/3, but even all 347 of them if they truly believe in the bills that they pass. So tonight, I say this to these MPs: show up and do your job, period. That is my angle tonight.